Hello and welcome to Curated Spaces. I'm Molly Cooper and this is the London edition. In our first ever mini-season, we'll be featuring the best spaces to stay, work and play around the city, from timeless icons to under-the-radar finds. And as well as sitting down with the teams who brought them to life, I'll be bringing you the inside scoop from some pretty amazing people getting up to some pretty great things within travel, design and hospitality. I'm so excited to share all their stories with you, so let's get into it, shall we?
Today I'm in North London at a neighbourhood pub with rooms, the Bull and Last. Started nearly 16 years ago, this cosy spot serves up Friday night pints, date nights and Sunday roasts with best of British classics in hunting lodge-esque interiors. And here to tell me all about it are Joe and Ollie. Welcome to the podcast, guys. How are you doing today?
Very good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Very well. I made it up here from the south on that northern line, but what a treat. What a pleasure to be here with you in North London.
Well, it's a pleasure having you, Molly. I'm pleased that we're actually going to have a little chat about our journey.
Our 16-year history or custodianship of the B&L.
Yeah, the B&L. I can't wait to get into all of that. But let's start with you guys. I'd love to hear a bit about your backgrounds and your stories, where you've come from and how you guys met.
We met through our other partner, Freddie, who doesn't actually work in the day-to-day running of the business. I met him through a friend probably 17 years ago, about a year before we started working together. And then Joe, you and him have a longer history.
Yeah, I've known Freddie for a long time. We're actually at school together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a long time ago. And I met obviously Ollie through Freddie, but I sort of rekindled our sort of friendship when I was actually working at the Wolseley restaurant. And Freddie was having lunch with Jonathan, they'd just secured a loan to buy a pub in Pudney. So I was actually on shift at the time, which is quite a funny story because I had to actually give him a few takes. I didn't actually realise it was him. And I just finished my shift. I went over there as I was getting changed. I was like, Freddie, is that you? And he was like, Joe, hugged it out right in the middle of the restaurant. And he was like, mate, what are you doing here? Obviously I was working. I was in a uniform.
Yeah.
So I sort of told him that I'd fallen into sort of hospitality, and I was, sort of on this journey with working for Jeremy King and Chris Corbin, and he had told me that he'd bought a pub pretty much within that week, and it's going to be amazing food. I've got a chef,
Which is me.
Yeah, which was Ollie, obviously.
Previously to that moment.
Gosh,
so
it's already on board.
Yeah, so then we went out and had about 5 or 6 pints in the local pub, sort of just talking nothing but pubs. Obviously, when you go out, you don't really think anything's going to stem of that. But he just
excitement
kept
more than
on
anything.
badgering me, like texting me, come down and see the place. So I
Yeah.
did. But then I met Ollie, and that was sort of but once I saw the roots of this company, sort of everything sort of was put in place, and I was really excited about it because Ollie had a similar background as me. He'd went to college, learnt the skill. I'd been to Oxford Brookes doing hospitality management, so I was serious about doing it. He was working for Richard Corrigan, obviously an absolute sort of influence and huge character in the industry, and I was working the same. So
you get together and you just start talking about food and wine or whatever. I mean, we were quite young at the time. You were 24 and I was 23.
Yeah. So we knew nothing really. We just knew that we kind of.
But what we did know, we were chatting about then, whatever that was. We had views and opinions on probably stuff which you'd sort of maybe, I don't know, wince is the right word, but you may not be quite exactly on that path now. But I suppose when you were having the chat with Fred, and you got sort of slightly ear twisted into getting involved. And I suppose once we sort of start talking about the product and what you're going to do, what I'm going to do, and then that's the start of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone gets excited about food. Doesn't matter if you work front or back of the house. Everyone likes food and drink, don't they? So getting that chat going gets you excited, and Fred went from there.
Fred's energy about the vision of what he wanted to do was huge, and he loves pubs. He wanted to create something really special, And, you know, when he found, you know, Ollie, I was really excited about it. I personally had no intention of running a pub, if I'm being totally honest with you. But, you know, you kind of grow into it. Yeah. And, you know, restaurant was really what I wanted to do. But, you know, when we saw the site and when we sort of, you know, you get creative and all the energy between the four of us, and you know, it was a really exciting time. And not many good pubs were around at the time. You know, no one. There was a few. Obviously, there was gastro pubs, but
difficult to get when you're young as well, and you haven't got any history of getting a pub lease or anything like that.
Exactly.
As other people who've worked for us have gone on to do since they're experiencing that. Whereas if you have a pub under your belt, it's much easier to go. The operators can see that you've got it in you to do one. It's sort of a gamble, isn't it? Giving it to two 24-year-olds and a 23-year-old chef, you know,
which is incredibly young, and I love that.
But I wasn't phased. My view on pubs was slightly different from Joe. Maybe hearing that, it's just because I wanted to do a gastropub more than I wanted to do a restaurant, even though I'd been working in restaurants. I was looking for someone to do a gastropub with, and it just happened to be one of my best pals from home sat next to Fred at a mutual friend's lunch. It was like, what do you do? What do you do? And he said, I'm just about to sign on a pub lease looking for a chef. And then I met him a couple of days later. Yeah. And we hit it off. So that was sort of the basis of that. But I just fancied gastropub, just slightly more relaxed. And while I was training to be a chef, like at Westminster College and bits like that, I just was going to gastropubs a lot. Yeah. Anchor and Hope, Eagle, Coach and Horses, like a little collection of them like that. And it was the way I thought I wanted to go, just that relaxed style. But you can still do good cooking techniques and stuff. It doesn't have to be that refined. Although gastropubs now, you do get a lot of very, very smart food ones. Yeah. We just recently did the Gastropub Awards because we're in the top 50, and it's all over the place, the offering that you get on there. Yeah. It doesn't matter what position you're at, they're doing all sorts of stuff. You've got Michelin star ones, you got ones that do a cassoulet to share, and they make bread in house, or simple stuff like that, or it's multi-layered terrines and all these different like technical things as well, which is all lovely in the right set. And if that's your style, that's your style. But it's a difficult one list-wise. Pub's a pub, isn't it? And some offerings are
different forms, aren't they? Different, they're so different, so diverse, and that's why we love them. That's why this country's obsessed with them. And travel.
It's our culture, isn't it? Pubs are a massive bit of our culture. If you love food and drink, your best place to go on a regular basis is a pub. It might always be for food, but it's always there for something, isn't it? Live music, food, staying the night now, quite a lot more pubs with rooms, especially good ones. What do people think is good? People listen to your podcast like stuff that's nice, don't they? And done well.
I love a pub with rooms. My favourite. They're always so warm and so cosy. And I think you kind of touched on it there. They've just been the backbone of British hospitality for centuries. Yeah. And it does feel like it's been a bit of a shift maybe over the past 15, 20 years. I don't know if you've seen it personally, but this growing gastropub, pub with rooms, pubs that, the interiors are beautiful. The food is amazing. Yeah. They still have that pub spirit. Yeah.
That's what we tried to do here.
That's kind of why we did it, is because, when we aren't in London, we do try and, get out and stay at these pubs with rooms. And over the years, we'd stayed at quite a few of them. And for me, it just seemed like, why can't, there's 8-9 million people in this city, and there's a lot of option to do. If you have, there's sometimes a lack of accommodation around here. So our market research for at least 10 years was, there's nowhere to stay here. Customers would say it to me regularly on the floor. If I was doing a wedding or a function, I was, back in the day without Ubers and things like that, I was calling people every Saturday night for taxis to go to their hotels, which were miles away. So
saying to me as you passed,
and I just kept on saying to Ollie,
a handful of people wanting to stay somewhere locally. Really? We need to get this going. Yeah.
So that's what,
the mind's going.
That's what made us. So in 2015, which did take a long process, and these things do take a long time, but this used to be a coaching inn. So a lot of the reason why we got the planning and got that was reinstalling this pub for accommodation, and bringing it back to its former glory. So, and that was 300 years ago, where they used to travel and water the horses downstairs in a horse and cart. Okay, 300 years later, it's moved on, but we're still sort of getting a lot of.
Well, that's how it got its name as well, the pub.
Yeah,
because there's a bull up in Highgate and there's a Bull and Gate down the road, and the gateway to London, because this was all fields. Obviously, you've still got Hampstead Heath. But if you imagine, so the story goes, and the geography of the area, that the Heath was like this all round this area, and the gateway was Kentish Town. So when the coaches came down, they said, the last bull and last. So that's sort of where the name came. Ring the little bell, drop them off, and then probably take another half an hour to get down there on their little their little rogue machines.
Oh, that's brilliant! And I love that it's gone full circle, and you sort of, like you say, restored this history and brought it back to life.
Bring it back. But we don't know how many rooms it had previously, but it was a different shape for a lot of its years, because there was a big fire here in 1843. So it actually took up the house spaces of these terrace houses just next to us, and at the back, a couple of houses deep as well.
We did know,
which you could have a look at. We've actually got the deeds from when it was rebuilt, but you can see the floor plan of what it was. You can see
like there were stables and stuff around the back. And
up in the rooms area. If obviously anyone listening to this stays here, just on the last step into the rooms area, there's the original deeds that got sent to us by someone.
Which is amazing. There's so many little bits of history sort of woven into the deeds on the walls, the old sort of those carving knife trotter things, these heads of animals everywhere, taxidermy galore. When I look
it's
around,
not everyone's taste, but I think we haven't overdone it, but it's also there, isn't it? It's in your face, but we haven't.
We were in two minds, like when we shot, to bring it back, but it's part of us, it's part of our journey, and like we were shut for a good year and a half, so we actually ended up putting everything sort of back in its place, which it was the right thing to do.
The main pieces and stuff, it's pretty much the same.
I'm not gonna I've had many comments over the years about these heads, and it's not everyone's thing, especially when.
Well, we said we'd calm it down when it come to doing it in the rooms. There was some taxidermy in the rooms in phase one of the design, because all the interiors and stuff we've done between the group of us, the three of us. We went for, you saw butterflies in two rooms, and moth and ants in the other one, and that was where
a little bit more subtle rather than a moose look.
In a sort of arty, sort of backdrop way, instead of a hair head sticking out as you walk in.
Well, I'd love to hear then. So you had your pub in Pudney, you come up here, you make the move up north, you're doing just pub, food, no rooms. You then decide to take the plunge to do the rooms, and then surely not long after COVID comes along. How have you found the past few years in dealing with that?
Well, we spent 18 months doing this project, which obviously was longer than we'd hoped for, but that was due to a few things. And then running into COVID, when we were literally just opening. It was only a handful of weeks, wasn't it? 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks?
We got open 20 days, and
then had to close again. But actually, the project as a whole wasn't completed. We hadn't got that. We weren't opening with the rooms. They were still being little fine details of joinery, art. All the touches that take quite a long time to get it looking like that.
We did have the option of opening during COVID, but what you had to do to a hotel room, you could sell it for a night, and then I think you couldn't use it for 48 hours, because you had to use a defumer and all the stuff, and the confidence in the country was so low as it was with COVID. So we just thought, we're not going to open with this as their first sort of experience of our Bull and Last rooms.
It's almost a bit of a slap, isn't it? Not getting it open
if I'm being brutally honest, Ollie and I read it, and we just didn't have the option. It was just me and him and a few others doing takeaway. So for me, what we needed to concentrate is trying to do the most out of that situation. So it was, look, the whole industry.
We had a crack at takeaway, didn't we?
It's talked about it, but our timing could have been better. But we look forward.
The thing is, you would have, even if we got open a bit earlier because the project didn't take as long, we still would have had to shut anyway, like everyone did. So.
That's it, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. At least there was a stop on a few bills and stuff like that. But we had to do the takeaway just to cover the running costs and stuff. It was a really skeleton team. Everyone was on furlough, but we did run a little system where we took some people the option of coming off and do a week with us and then go back to being on furlough, just to keep everyone sort of not going they're crazy in their front rooms or whatever.
And that was really nice, to be fair, because like the staff really were amazing, like how they got involved and didn't want us to, you know, they were really encouraging. You know, we did everything we could.
We tried to make it fun as well for us. We did a few things that, you know, it's just literally for the community. You're not making any money, business sense really from it. But we're doing sandwiches, little packs for walking. I mean, the walkers pack came from you weren't allowed to do picnics or stop and have a drink. Do you remember you weren't allowed to stop?
I forgot
so
about
then
that.
we were like, oh, our takeaway food's sort of scuppered here. You go over the heath for a nice walk.
Yeah.
And then they're not allowed to sit. So then the walkers pack became like snacks and stuff, but it was small enough to put in your jacket and then eat it while you're walking, and don't sit and stop because you get a slapped wrist, you know. Try and get around the rules a little bit. But the main thing for us was knocking out the Sunday lunches. Finish a thing for two. We did beef, chicken and a veggie, and you just literally whack your oven on full and puts a pan of hot water on. Vacuum pack of gravy, and it's just a little sort of 6-step, you know, because all the meat and everything was done in the morning. And the potatoes just trayed up literally, and everyone picked it up at a time. So just went home and just sort of finished it off themselves. Just a flash, like you would here. You cook it off, you flash it, you serve it. Amazing. Lovely. Just they had to do the last stage.
And less washing up. The dream.
Well, a lot of people were tired of cooking at home, weren't they? So you know,
it was sort of a nice thing of the week, wasn't it? And for the staff that were working, we made like a bumper, like roast pack for everyone. Everyone would go home, feet up, nice roast. Happy days.
No, it was. They're all ideas which you know over the 10 years you kind of like thought, you know, what are your customers missing? And you know, we came out with some quirky ideas. You know, deconstructed KFC bots was a good winner.
Because everyone knows the buttermilk chicken that we always do. So we did a brushed corn, miso corn box. You know, fries, aioli, corn, buttermilk chicken, big pack of that for families.
So no,
it just kept us ticking over mentally more than anything. I mean, we had a bit of fun with the takeaway beers and stuff like that, but you know, that got axed.
Like all good things,
You know, it was great though. You know what? After all of that, not being able to go out and then just go for a walk with a takeaway beer was a revelation, wasn't it? With all of that time off.
Oh, it was gorgeous,
and then we took that away, but we did have like hundreds of those milk cartons with a little cap.
Yeah, really? It's so funny though. Like, literally texting and like on WhatsApp groups, who's got milk cartons for sale? Like everyone on my phone who's in the industry, they were like the hottest thing to get hold of. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, because they're out of stock.
Them by the pallets delivered.
Yeah. It was just, and people, you know, we were borrowing them from other people. And
we're still using them for stuff. Well, we've done it now, but they were still kicking around for a while.
It was nice though seeing you know, doing a bit out front.
Yeah, I was out the front.
It was nice seeing Ollie, who, you know, obviously he's fed people for 15 years. So it was nice for him to be introduced to some of our locals. And some people, like he knows a lot of them, but that was good. And I think what was important, like when we decided to open, you know, we'd been shut for 18 months, like Ollie said. So, you know, for us, we didn't know where our business was. Like if your business is doing a refurb for 18 months, people have eaten somewhere else for 18 months. So it's really important to us that we were out, you know, people
you get the really local ones back, obviously, and the ones who are big regulars, but it's just that word of mouth that builds up over time.
We've been waiting so long to open because we'd overrun, you know, and overspent. So we were like, we need to, you know, like Ollie said, mentally, we needed to come out and do something, even in the situation we were in. And, you know, everyone was doing it who could. And we felt, you know, we felt grateful that we were in an area where we could actually open. I've got loads of, unfortunately, like, you know, people's sites might not work for that. Yeah. But obviously Hampstead Heath was quite busy because people could walk, you know. So that was people's hour a day. I can't even remember the rules because every rule changed. But like, and I remember the hour a day rule or whatever. So you know, I remember people coming in and you know, how many people just, you know, would just actually talk to you at the door just for a bit of interaction. It was important to us that we were open for that period.
Okay, so you open then, you're over budget, over timeline, sounds like a grand designs project. How was reopening?
It wasn't a million miles away from that.
Really?
Yeah. We did a huge amount of work. You know, for some customers, they're sort of wondering what happened with all the time that happened. But we the sort of superstructure stuff within the fabric of the building is quite considerable.
Plumbing,
We went
electrics.
down like another 2 point whatever meters down, like underneath the ground floor. Huge, the whole footprint of the building is a basement, where we used to have that anyway, but it was very, very low. We had an office down there, obviously your kegs and a few chest freezers, but it was it's all underpinned next door. You've got to get a lot signed off. You've got to check a lot of things locally. You know, we had to do like almost like a pregnancy scan thing of the street called Street Scan, which shows you which level all the different like AV wires and Virgin Media fibre optic is, where the water table is off the
He's on a roll. He's on a roll.
Yeah, I'm on a roll. Let's get it all out. On the heath, obviously you've got loads of underground water tables. There's actually dams and stuff underground. That's what quite a lot of rolling hill bits are.
I thought we just moved the loos.
We've done all sorts of stuff, Joe, under there.
Ollie is setting the record straight. Work was done here.
There's a lot done. But anyway, the water table comes right up underneath that school. And if it was any closer, we wouldn't have been able to go that far underground with the basement. And we built these 2 flats out the back as well. But I mean, we took the roof off, added another floor. You can't see that from the street because of the conservation area. You've got the parapet wall. You're not allowed to change the look. But we've managed to squeeze 7 rooms up there. 2 in the eaves.
7 rooms from a 2-bedroom flat. So
they're gorgeous rooms.
Did an amazing job. They really did.
They were so cleverly done. Like, they make such good use of the space. I love all the hidden doors and cupboards and that paneling. And they've all got these beautiful little views over the chimney pots. We were saying it's like Mary Poppins. They kept expecting Dick Van Dyke to jump out the chimney. It was great.
No, it is nice. We're very happy with how they turned out.
And every room's different, and different budget, different room, different space. So they're all very unique in what you're looking for, which is important to us. So we try to put our own stamp on there. We try to work with a lot of small independent, whether they're light fittings or bed makers or joinery and all that stuff. And we took a lot of inspiration from Kenwood House and Hampstead Heath. A lot of the artwork is either from an illustrator we've told to get involved and tell a bit about our story, or whether it's
or linking with the room name,
linking with the rooms, a little nod, not in a theme way, but just a little nod of appreciation.
Like there's a Keats poem book in the Keats room, or there's bathhouse next to the freestanding bath. There's Catchpole Rye handmade copper and nickel baths, beautiful. Yeah, like the Earl of Mansfield room, Earl of Mansfield. That's the nod to him sort of saving all the development on Hampstead Heath, because he had a lot of. They wanted to make it into lots of villages on the heath, and lots of planning went. And he apparently just stopped it all, and he actually Humphrey Repton, who is a landscape gardener, hired. He was the one responsible for everything around Kenwood House, and that's why it's so beautiful, and that's why it never got developed. Nice. And so we gave a little nod to him. I called it Earl of Mansfield, and that's why it's all green in his room. And the bathhouse, like Ollie said, is at Kenwood House, where they used to wash. And that's why we put the bath in that room. In the bathing room.
Oh, well, it's so cleverly done, because looking around, it could be 300 years ago. It could also be a Scottish hunting lodge or something. But then you have those real touches and fragments of London history and tales and people that sort of live on in the room names, in the artwork, in the deeds on the wall. It's really lovely. And what have you found in terms of people who come to stay here? Is it Londoners? Is it people on holiday?
It's a real mix, which you kind of want, don't you? You don't want to be you don't want the same
people
demographic.
Use it for that sort of work, regular visit stuff, as well as special occasion or holidays from out of town. It is a mix, isn't it?
It's a real mix, and it's a really nice that it's reaching to so many people. For us, like, that's all we want really to create. We wanted to create something a bit different, personal to us, and sort of, like you touched earlier, Molly, is like, we want to sort of surprise people that this is a bit different. And, it really means quite a lot to us if someone like, what's that artwork there? Like there's a poster, a flyer from like the 1980s of some. This used to be, they used to show a lot of art in the pub, and they used to do an exhibition. And a gentleman who used to live on this road actually gave us quite a lot of his pieces before he passed away, unfortunately. But his artwork is in the rooms, and the poster is in one of the rooms. Little nod to him, who used to eat a charcuterie board on a table every Friday. He used to come in, and
there's a little plaque on the stairways of his name underneath two of them.
Wow. It's little nods like that when you're running a pub. It's not, it's important that you. Yeah. I don't know. They're, like we say, they're very unique pubs, and people always, they root for your local pub. And, we feel really grateful. We don't take it for granted where we are.
It's keeping memories alive as well with those art pieces.
We're very lucky with Hampstead Heath. It's sort of, being next to 800 acres on your doorstep, it sort of feels the same sort of, even though you feel like, you said earlier that you feel like you're in a hunting lodge, like we're 800 acres away of green space, yet you're 5 or 6 kilometres from Soho. That's pretty rare to have that. And we're very lucky, people use the Heath for lots and lots of different reasons, whether it's walking their dog, a family walk, swimming in the ponds, playing a tennis or whatever. And we're sort of a stone's throw away. We kind of use that as inspiration, whether it's our menu or whatever kind of purpose we are putting into the pub, rooms, picnic campers in the summer. We try and use that as our inspiration. And I think that's really important as owners, or whatever you do with your vision, is sort of look at your surrounding area. And that's why we did the rooms. That is the sole reason we did the rooms, was talking on the restaurant floor, knowing what having a feeling of what's missing in the area. And we're so delighted that people
There's not that many places to stay near the Heath or around it either. So it's such a great place to come if you're not from this area, or obviously different parts of London, it's only a quick tube ride or overground, but guests upstairs can go for a quick game of petanque and borrow a set of balls or tennis, bring their tennis stuff. We do have some stuff that you can borrow as well at Ghost Wild Swimming or in the Lido.
It's really nice when people asking for how the Lido works, or how I've heard about the swimming, and to use what's on your doorstep and like, for them to edge away from central London and find this little part of London is really nice.
Well, it's like when people come to visit and they always ask, what should I do? Where should I go? And I'm like, oh God, I don't know, go to the pub. Like, what do Londoners do? And actually it feels like this is such a lovely London. Go to the Heath, go swimming, see the sights, go to the pub. It's like proper, authentic London, and I love it.
It's nice recommending local areas and other pubs and restaurants in the area. And then, you sort of, I don't know, I feel like the role is really important when you check people in. So you feel like a bit of a tour guide, you feel like you need to do this, don't take that transport, go there. And it's nice. And all the staff are really, I don't know, they really enjoy doing it.
And they all know different bits that are their favourites. So they suggest not the same thing every time. There isn't like a rhetoric that we project on people. Where you should go, list these 3. Everyone's got their favourite. It might be from a cafe that's out of the way in Crouch End, or it might be Hampstead for
you're right,
the Holly Bush and some Japanese and Jinkichi or whatever.
You're so right, and a lot of the staff live locally, which
or different corners of the Heath, so they prefer their bit maybe.
I think you got to feel your area a bit, and if you do, then
we've got a cute little map that you get in the room. It's in the cookbook. We did lots of illustrations of things from around the building, food, the area, the Heath, and there's just like a loose map of some hot spots that you get rolled up. It's like a little souvenir. It's quite nice. It shows the main players over there.
Yeah, it does.
And then looking ahead, then the next chapter, are you guys got anything in the roadworks, or you just keep ticking along, enjoying a good thing while it's going?
No, we're quite bad at ticking along. We're always looking at growth, because I think maybe because of the year and a half we had out, and also, we don't take anything for granted, having seen what this industry is facing or faces. So I think you can't be complacent. We're always looking. We feel really lucky to, like Ollie touched earlier, like still being in the top 50 gastro pubs this week is a massive, massive achievement for us. We're really pleased that 16 years on, people are still enjoying what we're doing. So growth, I think if you sit still in this industry, I think we've only got the one pub. So we concentrate on this day in, day out, and that's something we
That's why we did the big renovation. You know,
Yeah.
it's our premises, and we restored it completely. Some people might think we went too far in it, but we've done it, and it's beautiful, and it's a
Yeah, and whatever happens in the future, we were responsible for putting accommodation back in the pub. Like, it's,
forevermore it'd be a coaching in. Fingers crossed.
So growth in the
growth within business.
I think we're going to try and get off the road a bit, do a few festivals again.
Love
yeah,
that.
We've done a few in the past, and we're going to try and do 2 or 3 this year. We're open for breakfast very soon at the weekends, because it's something we did in the past, and now we can bring it back, and that's really nice, to seeing the pub open in the early hours, and people, I don't know, we get a lot of early risers here, because obviously, the Heath again. So we want to have that sort of breakfast culture back at the weekends, which we're looking forward to having, which starts this weekend. So we're putting a bit more pressure back into the system, but January is a good time to do that, I guess.
Yeah, hit those health kicks, people up and out getting these morning runs.
The building's just open, isn't it? It's just whatever your thing is, whether it's a coffee, flyby, portion of eggs, or a burger or a sandwich in the middle of the day, we're open for it. So
we're pretty good at talking at the top of the pile of wanting to create a bit more. People's meal times have changed a little bit. We offer an all-day menu now. We actually run 3 till 6 through the week, which is something new for us. We're always looking to
see what lies ahead.
I think because we're this hotel, it sort of drives you to be a bit more 24/7.
Okay.
Because you're always on show.
Yeah.
And try and use the pub. Like, pubs are big buildings. As you can see, this is a huge building. So I think wherever little avenues you can be open and do a bit more, then that's what we're trying to do. Whether all that is worth it or feasible is the headache we have, whether to staff it in certain situations. But
hence why breakfast has been delayed, getting back at the weekends. But we've got the quiz on the mind.
We might bring back the pub quiz.
Oh, now that is exciting.
It's not planned. We don't have a quiz master, but we're definitely on the thought process of
I've always wanted to be a quiz master. I'll do your first one.
I've done it about 5 times when he hasn't
I'll
turned
schlep up here for that,
It's not as...
There we go, we've got a quiz master.
Sorted! What a note to end on. Oh, it's been so lovely to chat. Before we do go, I do, of course, have my closing tradition. I'm going to ask you for 3 spaces, but you imagine you've just cash that winning lottery check, so money is of no object. Number 1, where are you running away to disconnect and detox?
Disconnect for the last 5
There's no option.
Do you want to,
stay the night, or what we doing?
Whatever you
buying
want.
a place, or are we staying the night?
Whatever you want.
You give him a minute, because he's going to really think about it now.
Yeah, sure, you go. I know mine.
There's one trip we've always said that we'd go and do, and that's Fred going up to Scotland and sort of cutting off there of going up as a 4. Jonathan, Fred and Ollie, we should probably do that and reconnect. It's just dates is always quite hard between the 4 of us. So what was the detox? Is that a detox question?
That could be a detox.
That might not be detox.
No.
Too much whiskey.
Yeah,
but you could be disconnecting.
You're disconnecting, phones off, little boat down the loch,
I think that
cooking some fish from Oban.
Yeah, just
beach barbecues.
Detox is about stripping it all back. I don't really. For me, it'd be remote and stripping it back.
Yeah.
Whereas you might want to like something a bit more.
Yeah, I just sort of envisage, like a lovely place, like looking out to sea in Norfolk, well away from even the local pub, nowhere near.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere with a nice like wooden hot tub that's fed with a wood fire.
Ooh, gorgeous. Yeah. Fantastic.
I could keep going, There'll be some sparkling wine involved. I'm not drinking at the minute, but I'll make sure I'm back on for that.
Okay, 2 very good answers. 2 very on-brand answers. I like it.
Yeah.
Number 2, slightly different. Your ultimate birthday parties, where are you hosting them?
We've never really had a party.
I've only had one birthday party since kids' parties, and that was my 40th just gone, and that was, nothing huge. I don't really do them, but...
what is it? Our parties, our own parties?
Yeah.
I'll probably do something completely out of the norm. It would be a super swanky dinner at some place in town that I would never normally do, just because you've asked.
Love it. Yeah, treat yourself.
No, money's not an option, no.
Yeah, you've got
I really like the look of that, the garden space at Luca. If I could get get 30 of, I don't know how much it owes, but that space for me and their food, I'm a big fan. Luke, I'd hire that.
I love that. So you're staying in
that kind of thing. That's, I was thinking, I haven't been to it yet. Is it like the Coral Room at the Connaught?
Yeah.
Like cocktails in there and then like private
swanky.
dinner kind of thing. So that's something I just definitely wouldn't do.
Yeah.
But if money's no object, then sort of 300 a head.
Five Farms might be up
Treating
there.
all your
Love
friends
that,
to that.
yeah.
Why not? One off.
Yeah, why the bloody hell not? Okay, last one. Your once in a lifetime bucket list trip. Where are you heading? And are you staying anywhere special?
I think I'd probably repeat our trip we did a few years ago. Joe, myself and Freddie and a prospect chef who was going to work with us on the project. We went away for 18 days to Tokyo, Sydney, Melbourne and New York in one go, eating breakfast, lunch and dinner at somewhere different every day.
Stop. Get out.
With the idea that we were going to do a restaurant in Soho with sort of like a world cuisine, small plates idea. Yeah. And we went away and thought, let's have a go. Let's do a bit of money on that, get the ideas flowing and see if we come up with, a plan. Or if we don't go ahead with the idea, then we've just had a wicked trip.
Yeah.
And I'd probably just repeat it and add a few more stops in and make it a 30-day trip if money was no object.
Gorgeous, yeah. Fantastic. God, quite a big answer to follow that.
It was an amazing trip to go on, and a lot of good stuff came out of it. I think the hotel rooms came out of that one night, didn't
Definitely.
it? Staying in a hotel in New York, which made us think about doing accommodation, and that might not have happened if it wasn't for that. I believe talking about it for quite a while.
Yeah, we definitely did. We definitely talked about it. That was Robert De Niro's one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Greenwich hotel.
Very cool.
That was pretty amazing there.
I don't know, blowout trip. Why don't we just go with that? So it's kind of hard to take. Yeah, it's hard to match that, really. The variety of restaurants
We're
saw.
very lucky to do that.
Yeah,
you can do, if you're doing something like that and you love food and wine and cities, with all of the new places opening, you can easily write an amazing version of that again.
Yeah, we brought a lot of dishes back from that, and I think it was a trip which is sort of I think a lot came out of it. It wasn't just all.
It did. We've never been too cemented in one style of food. It has always been like a bit of influence. So you've got the British stuff, fish and chips, pies, steaks, all of that, and then you've got sometimes a bit of Japanese thrown in, sometimes a bit of French, quite often French. There's always a pasta dish. We ate a lot of wicked breakfast when we were in Australia for those things, and sharing mains in that long grain stuff.
Breakfast might have come from that as well.
Breakfast offering.
It sounds like we can all take some life lessons and go on some more holidays.
Yeah, I think holidays are the one, though, aren't they?
I'm fairly sure breakfast
researching
open.
where you eat before you go is always
very good.
Always worth doing.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, guys. It's been such a
been
pleasure.
fun. Thank you.
I'm really excited to see what happens for the Pudney.
We'll let you know when you do your first quiz shift.
Night, yeah. Got my listeners along, yeah. Ollie, Joe, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was such a pleasure chatting and hearing all about the brilliant Well and Last. For anyone looking for a little staycation in the city, hit up this pub. It will not disappoint. And thank you everyone for tuning into this episode. I really hope you enjoyed the conversation. As ever, if you did, please make my day by leaving a little review or hitting that subscribe button. You can also find so much more on our website, along with some very exciting news coming soon, including a brand new way to browse and book the best spaces around the UK. Now go get planning that next trip, and I'll see you next time for more Curated Spaces.